Because he's not ready.
Stephen A. Smith, you finally got what your trout mouth ass deserved. LeBron James stepped to you like a real man. You got punked. You got served in a real way. And I don't want to hear no sob story of you trying to correct it. And this wasn't a basketball player. This was a father. Nah, it was both. And this has been brewing for quite a while. This time it finally backfired on your ass. And you double crossed one of the greatest athletes who ever lived by dissing his son, Bronny James. Now, you done said some stuff in the past.
My position has always been that should have been the only moment we saw Bronny James in a Lakers uniform this season.
He has the ears of millions. He does have suggestions on who should be on the show. He does have allowances. He does get to orchestrate how the show is produced. He is the executive producer, and he is one of the sports pundits on the show. But the show has been going on way before him since Cold Pizza. He loves to mention that it is his show for the taking, and they've had a number one show since 13 years. From what I recollect, Skip Bayless was on that show. He brought you on. So Skip Bayless is the one who is the grandfather of that whole debate system. So how the scenario kind of played out, the Knicks were playing the Lakers at home. And as we all know, Stephen A. Smith is a devout New York Knicks fan. He happened to be there courtside. So it was a rumble in the jungle. This game came down to the very end, and LeBron James and the Lakers end up being victorious. Luka, he kind of showed out as well. But at the end of the game, Stephen A. Smith happened to be courtside. You know, it's his favorite team, and he got that 5-year, $100 million contract. You know, that's $20 million a year. And this was on the very same day. So this is a couple of days ago. And he happened to be sitting courtside, and LeBron peeked over and actually peeped dude. So LeBron, being LeBron, 40 years old, grown ass man, he steps to little ass Stephen A. Smith, trout mouth ass Stephen A. Smith, who finally got what he deserves. Step two in public in a pretty extreme posture, you might say, like I'll beat your ass type of posture. That's how LeBron James was stepping up to do. Stephen A. Smith lets us know, kind of lets us in on what was told to him by the great LeBron James.
And he said, stop effing with my son. That's my effing son. Stop effing with my son. I said, what? Nah, man, straight up, man to man. Real talk. Stop effing with my son. And I saw how furious he was. And I said, we can talk about it later. Nah, F that. Stop effing with my son. That's my son. I said, all right, dog. Fine.
Ultimately, he didn't want him talking about Bronny James. Stephen A. Smith has been talking shit on LeBron, on Bronny for quite some time. It's been brewing, as I mentioned, and this isn't nothing new. He had mentioned that Bronny definitely wasn't capable of playing in the NBA and how he wasn't ready.
Because he's not ready.
There has been a whole wave of social media displeasure against Stephen A. Smith. There's been some NBA talks that a couple of the players, high profile players, supposedly stopped talking to him and disassociated themselves from him. Yes. Of course, he has a big mouth. He's free to just kind of say what he wants to say. He's cussing all day on ESPN First Take, but no one else gets to cuss like that. Why does he get the way he approaches his job? Yes, for sure he says some useful things, but he's a useful idiot overall. And he just got paid. This is happened, as I mentioned, on the day where he got paid. He got that extension, $100 million, 5 years, $20 million a year. I think that's definitely one of the highest paid at ESPN doing what he does. He's going to slip up one time. ESPN, Disney, First Take, whatever, you guys have to get rid of him, because you know what this is going to do. This is going to have a domino effect on all your sports stations. You can't really allow him to go further. And it's kind of ironic that he got this extension with ESPN and then this happened. And now he's beefing with Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley did get at them first, but he's beefing with them. This is all kind of happening on the same day. So this is a man who runs off at the mouth, and eventually he's being told, hey, he believes that he's doing his job, which he is. And there's an argument for that. You talk about relevant sports topics, which is okay. But ultimately, if you're talking about somebody's kid and I see you on the streets, all that job and this is my job stuff goes out of the window. Now it's man to man. That's what LeBron, you're stepping into my place of employment. Now I can check you. I don't care if it's your job. Stop doing your job that way. Just stop talking about my peoples. And you can get really hurt messing with talking about people's kids like this. Doesn't matter if you're doing your job or not. So I don't want to hear that. And now you're backtracking and kissing ass because you still want to be ingratiated with LeBron James. Because if he were not to make a connection with if he were not to make this connection with LeBron James and have his insider information, that mean Rich Paul, Maverick Carter, all of them going to probably cut ties with the homeboy. He is not going to have access. LeBron can say, hey, ESPN, I don't want to do any more interviews. My people will not go on the shows if Stephen A. Smith is associated with it. That's completely plausible, and I wish that happens. He needs more than a slap on the wrist. Over the last couple of years, hasn't he been suspended for this or that or said some outlandish things about Ohtani and you get rewarded with $100 million contract for this? Cussing up a storm on the show? You get rewarded. You get to bring on who you want, all your favorites. Being subjective to who you bring on, you're just bringing all your boys on. You want it to be a good old boys club of ESPN and laugh and giggle, and instead of talk about yourself and your outfits, you're bringing too much of yourself. You letting too much of yourself leak out for the public to see, and you're self-exposing. Truly, that's what you're doing. So I hope that you go down and that you will not have any significance on your show and your watch time and your viewership. The first sports show kind of on in the morning that has good lighting and, good sound. And that's kind of why we like it anyway. Not because of you, Stephen A. Smith.